Hammers going full court press. Zero mercy. Hey team, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, core design engineer with Brunswick Bowling, and today we have an amazing video for you as we detail all the information out of two of the three newest releases from the Hammer lineup. They are the Zero Mercy Solid and the Zero Mercy Pearl. The new 2.0 is going to get its own long-form video because there's always lots of questions surrounding that cover stock technology and the core cover pairing there. So even though we normally do shorts for follow-up balls, the new 2.0 is going to get its own TED Talk, if you will, long-form video for you guys to follow so this one doesn't become too long, because we also have a lot to talk about with the brand new Zero Mercy Solid and Zero Mercy Pearl. But before we get into all of that, one quick announcement for myself. I was most recently on the Perception vs. Reality podcast with Phil and Nick on the Radical Bowling Facebook and YouTube page. We talked a lot about the Heckler Hybrid, DV8's no-thumb patent-pending core technology, and talked a little bit about the other releases in this current release cycle for our brands. So make sure you check that out on Facebook and YouTube if you didn't happen to stream it live. And I was also on the ZVL Bowling channel. We did a live stream with a Q&A section. We talked in great depth about no-thumb core technology, and I answered a lot of viewer questions in real time. Hopefully that wasn't too terrible. I'm actually recording this video before I'm doing that live podcast, so I don't know how it's going to go. Hopefully it went well and it was worthwhile for all the viewers. If you're a new viewer who came over from either of those two podcasts, welcome. I hope I don't bore you too badly, but this is more of a scientific TED Talk type channel, and I try to give you the best possible assessment for where these balls fit into your arsenal, how to build arsenals around the equipment that we're bringing out to you brand new. So hopefully you find this channel helpful, and hopefully you found the information on those two podcasts helpful. If you haven't been able to check out those two, make sure you do, and you get to see more of my shining face. Now let's talk about the brand new stuff for Hammer, starting with this brand new inner core inside the Zero Mercy. It is called the Super Offset Asymmetrical Core, and no, this core does not have anything to do with the original heart core that was inside the original No Mercy balls. People, I think, are already mistakenly calling these ones No Mercy. It is the Zero Mercy carryover nameplate, but really the core shape has nothing to do with the heart core or the weird intermediate axis layout situation that thing had going on with it. This is actually a follow-up to the most recent 3D offset core that we had in the Violet Offset remake, as well as the Assault and the Attack. Some really good rolling low intermediate asymmetrical balls in Hammer's recent history. However, this is a whole new animal. You can take a look at the shape, and I'll throw up a comparison right here on the screen. You can see just by core volume alone, this brand new one is big and bad. But not only is it just the volume, it is the shape and the scale of this thing. You can see that the upper and lower caps are larger, more pronounced. The back cut for the offset is more extreme, and the front nose of the core is squished and elongated to give you a more pronounced feature in the front, as opposed to the whole mid-body being shifted like the original 3D offset. So a lot of nipping and tucking and a staggering difference in core numbers make this one a monster, one of the strongest cores in the sum of its parts that Hammer has seen. And on paper, it doesn't look too crazy. It's a relatively high RG at 2524, 053 with the differential, and 020 with the intermediate differential. Now, 2524 is getting on the high side. That's going to be a little bit later revving. Pairing this with extremely aggressive cover stocks has been a really good pairing because the ball doesn't want to read at your toes, and it stores a little bit of energy for hook throughout the entire body of the lane. And you'll see as you see some staff videos that this one really does have a strong, continuous, and hard arcing motion, despite the fact that it has high intermediate differential. So that RG aiding in the ball not reading too early or going too forward. 053 total differential is the exact same differential that we built into the remake offset core from a couple years back. So being true to the offset nature, we wanted to keep that in the same range, get a same general flare potential. But you'll notice that intermediate differential on this one is way higher, 0.008 on that original offset core compared to 0.20 in this new one. That's 2.5 times more intermediate differential before you drill into this core. That is going to be a much sharper, more abrupt hook window at the back of the lane and in the late mid lane relative to the much sweepier, more gradual, more controlled motion of that 3D offset core. So this super offset truly is a supersized, super aggressive version of that offset core from a couple years ago. This is just a step up in performance across the board, and it's going to be a step up in total hook too. When we pair a pearlized cover with it, it's going to be more and sharper, and when we pair a solid cover with it, it's going to be more mid lane and stronger down lane as well. So basically just more of everything, but a familiar characteristic shape. This one is surrounded by new cover stock chemistry as well. HK22C² in both the solid and the pearl formats. So what this means for you guys is HK22 is our cover base. That is the strongest cover base that we make. It actually doesn't read too hard in the oil in the front part of the lane. It actually skids more naturally through oil. But when it encounters dry, when it encounters friction to the outside or on the back of the lane, it slows down and helps the ball change direction better than our previous chemistry bases. That's nothing new. What is new here is the C² moniker. This is a combination of additives that we have not used together. It is cohesion, which you are very familiar with. That is made famous by the Effect line of balls and has been in a lot of balls in the brands of Brunswick, not just exclusive to Hammer, because of its ability to help the ball slow down and change directions at the back of the lane in combination with the HK22 base. But now we're adding an additive that we call chrome in combination with cohesion. So that's where you get C². This chrome additive is just going to do more of the same. It's a chemical blend that gives you the same staggering ball motion that you get out of cohesion, but it just amplifies it. You'll notice that this is the strongest in the solid and the flippiest in the pearl that we have seen. I did notice too in the Zero Mercy pearl that the hook window is elongated, so although it's responding rapidly to friction, it's not getting too forward or too quitty. It does continue left for right-handed bowlers, right for left-handed bowlers, and goes through the pin deck exceptionally well. So let's take a quick breather and compare them individually now. I think it's worth mentioning their ball motions because they are quite different despite having the same core inside of them. The Zero Mercy Solid is the strongest ball that Hammer has made. And I know that's a little bit of a trope when a sanded asymmetrical ball comes out. Oh, this is the strongest, this is the most back end, this is the most total hook. Stop. Bar none, the Zero Mercy Solid is the strongest ball that Hammer has made. And we tried to make it usable hook. I know it kind of feels like a weird release timing to be on the heels of the Maximum Effect. The Maximum Effect is interestingly cleaner through the front part of the lane, has a shorter hook window, and is a little more hook stop and a little more forward. It reminds me, it's a more akin to something like a Pure Envy slot in the lineup, where it's just that one step cleaner and a quicker, sharper motion, but also a more forward, traditional asymmetric motion. The 247RG aids in it revving up even faster, and that could be part of the reason that it goes through the pins with a little more heavy roll. The Zero Mercy Solid, with its much higher RG, similar total differential, and even higher intermediate differential, is more of a carving shape, where it starts early in the mid lane, but it continues a big, aggressive, sweeping arc. And of course, in the wrong conditions or matched up with the wrong layout, it can get forward like big asymmetrical balls do. But as long as you feed this thing enough fresh head oil, or as long as you are a relatively speed dominant bowler, or if you're bowling on fresher lane panels that are harder and don't let the ball slow down as much, then this thing is going to be a big, sweeping, continuous monster. And I think people will be surprised to see how continuous it is for as asymmetric as it is. It's kind of a dangerous play to put even more intermediate differential into a core than the Effect, which already seemed like it went a little forward and a little heavy rolling. But you'll be surprised at what a different shape this one makes. It will be the top of the bag, it will be the strongest ball in Hammer's current lineup, and it will slot above a Maximum Effect. So if you're a speed dominant bowler, you are going to love this one. It's going to make you feel like a power player that you've never felt like before. If you're a matched bowler where your speed and your rev rate are pretty even, then this will let you to get in earlier in the patterns and carve the lane a little better. This is going to help you blend heavier conditions that might be incredibly wet dry. If you bowl on a particularly heavy house shot, this one is going to get you further left and away from the cliff. You'll be able to play a little more in the oil, have a little bit of hold, and your miss is right. They'll respond, but they won't overbounce. And if you have a strong hand and you are more of a power player, then you better have a little bit of speed, or this one could be overmatched for you. But if you bowl on long, heavy, flat, hard tournament conditions, you're going to want to reach for this one. But this one can afford longer VAL angles, slightly weaker layouts to help blend them for player styles like this. Zero Mercy Pearl has a little bit different of an attitude to it. I found this one to be more squarely in the medium range of ball motion, of course shaded toward the aggressive side of ball motion, but interestingly clean at this compounded surface. HK22 is already naturally a little cleaner than our other cover bases, so of course when you compound them, it's just gonna add even more length, kind of accentuate the length, I guess is the best way to say it. So the one caveat to this one is that it does need friction to get started, but if you feed it the right amount of friction, it will back end, right? And you know, the effect really turned heads for its short, sharp hook window and its ability to open up the lane and really bounce. We haven't really had a ball quite like the original effect in a couple years. We had the special effect that was also compounded, but I think that had more of an arcing ball motion with the way that the sparkle and the cover blend lended itself to that core. Aiming a little more at continuation and a little less at sharpness, and I think overall it wasn't quite as well received as the original effect. I think this one can be as well received as the original effect. It is not going to be quite as quick as an original effect. I do think it's cleaner down the lane before it makes its move. I do think it is incredibly sharp, but it does have those characteristics of that Zero Mercy, and I described carving, arcing ball motion. It's a little uncharacteristic of strong asymmetrical balls that are typically a little more hook set forward, and I see a little bit of that in this ball as well. It goes left off of the pattern, way further down the lane, of course, than the Zero Mercy, but even further down than an effect, and probably on par on length with a special effect, but where the special effect arced, this one whips a little more. But what I was starting to say is that this one does have a continuation factor that the Zero Mercy Solid has that I don't think the effect core has. So where the effect core can get a little heavy rolling through the pins, this one just kind of continues through the pins a little better. I think a lot more players, right-handed bowlers will have a better time getting it toward the 8-pin. Left-handed bowlers will have a better time getting this one through the 9-pin on a wider range of medium-heavy to medium-light conditions as a couple steps down from the Zero Mercy Solid. I'm not going to sell this one as like the strongest back end in the entire world. The Solid certainly to me is the strongest solid that Hammer has built. I'm not sure if this one is as strong as the effect, but it is at least as strong down lane as the effect, just has more length and maybe more utility on more medium patterns than medium heavy patterns. That is just my take on it. Alright, I don't have to tell you, but Hammer is not screwing around. They have launched banger after banger. Last release cycle was really solid with the maximum effect in the Tour V1. Now we're complementing that maximum effect with two balls that sit on either side of it. A heavy oil monster and a clean and sharp angular option that's going to be a good replacement for other effect balls in the series, but not necessarily step on the toes of the maximum effect. And of course we're offering a symmetric option to round out the other end of the chart with the smoothest, more relaxed ball motion with the new 2.0, and we'll get into all that in a future video. So there's a lot of ground that Hammer covers on the chart in terms of total hook, total volume, arsenal building situation that just these three new balls can cover. If you have any questions about these two new balls, Zero Mercy Solid, Zero Mercy Pearl, then feel free to drop a comment below. If you want to talk about the new, don't forget that I'm making a video coming up, probably drop a week from this one. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you give me a like and a follow on Facebook or YouTube at Bowling Buckosh, and drop back often because I make new videos every time we make a new ball at the Brains of Brunswick, and man, that's pretty often if you haven't noticed. So I will catch you next time when we talk about the new 2.0. This is a combination of two additives. One you're very familiar with, that is cohesion. That C word,